Alright, market update here on the 29th. I'm so bored with this market right now that I'm going to go ahead and make the video now. Absolutely nothing going on. I will say, I think that the market, the last 4 or 5 months, in my opinion, from my experience, is, it's complete nonsense right now. In my opinion, the last 4 months have just been nonsense. Besides NVDA and a few of the tech stocks, you're not getting anything in any of these other stocks. They're kind of all just going sideways, maybe up a little bit, back down, up a little bit. So I think right now it's just basically about not making mistakes. Don't make any big mistakes. Eventually we're going to get a huge rally in growth stocks, in my opinion. And we're going to get something like January and December, but on a higher scale than that. So I think it's about being patient right now. This market sucks. Let's be honest. It's terrible. And let's get into the charts now. So on AMD, I had a put and had a call yesterday. I sold that put around 167-ish. Came all the way down here to 163. I sold a put. Took profit on that up here. I just recently bought puts down here. Actually, this looked like it was going to go down farther. So I'm a little bit underwater on those, but I resold a put down here too. So I have a sold put and I have 2 puts here. And this was my original thought on it. Is it going to come up here? But then when I saw this big move down here, I started hedging, and normally I would stop out here, but I'm letting it go for now because I do think we are going to go down lower. If that doesn't happen, then I'll probably take a loss and then make that up with buying some shares or calls or whatever. So I think that this whole thing, I've gone back and forth in this just based on what's going on every single day. It's hard to tell if this is a fifth wave or this is actually a B wave. It was kind of a funky move. I think that there's a good chance this is actually WXY now, because I wasn't expecting this big impulse down, and that's what we got, 174 to 163. So this makes a lot of sense being WXY actually. We have A, B, C, like that, and then we have what could be a 5-wave move, but this didn't come back to the 0.5 fib, and we basically hit the 1.61 fib. And now we get an impulse down. Pretty sure it is finished right here. It's possible that this is a 4th wave too. There's a lot of guessing going on with this right now. All these corrective moves. I'm kind of just like hedging a lot. I know it's going higher eventually, but there's not really anything that's definite right now. So my guess is this is an A wave. Got an impulse down. Currently in a B wave, and the way I know it's a B wave is this only took about 3 hours. We're sitting now on like 5 hours of this move. So this is likely not part of this move, it's a separate move. So A, we're in B right now. This is corrective, we're moving up now. So I'm looking for like 168 to 169. This is the reason I didn't sell my puts either. I'm looking for something around here with a max of maybe like 169. And then I'm looking for another 5-wave move down. So let's just say we go to 169, then I'm looking for probably 157. We're probably coming down here to 156 in my opinion. So if that's the case, it would be back below the 20 and the 50, which technically would be bearish, but that would also mean that we completed a B wave. So yesterday I was thinking this is a 5th wave, and now I'm thinking that this is actually basically just WXY. Something like that. And then that would be the overall B wave. This right here is, I think, 3-day demand. 3-day demand down here at 156. So that's kind of what I'm looking at over the next couple of days, maybe into CPI or whatever the data is. I think it was CPI. And then that would take us about the same time as this. You can see here, this is a 2nd to the 17th, that's 15 days. This could end on the 1st, which is, well, on Friday it would be the 31st. Down here at 157. And then I would be looking for another move higher. At that point, this could be ABC. So let's say we go down here to 157. I'm looking up here at potentially 190. Then it can make a 5-way move from here. Like that. So I know it's going higher. I don't know. It's kind of tricky figuring out exactly what this is. But what gave it away, what makes it more than likely this is right, was this move this morning. You're not going to get an impulse move this far down if this were a first wave or if this were an A wave. This would not be a B wave here, most likely. So I think that this makes a lot of sense. You're probably going to see a green candle up here to 169 tomorrow. And then you're probably going to get a sell-off into CPI on Friday, I think. So then that would look like we'd probably hit the top around the June OPEX. So I'm still bullish on AMD. No reason to be super bearish, but I do have some puts looking for down here potentially to 157. And that would take us to kind of the end of here on the 2-hour standard deviation. 3 hours kind of weird. Not going to look at that one. 4 hour a little bit different too. That stuff doesn't matter. So AMD, look for like 168, 169, and then 157. I'll probably add puts if it goes to 169. There is a gap at 170, but I don't know if it's going to make it up there. SPY, also really funky. So we're up here, clearly a corrective move. We go up here, we finish the high of the day, and then today it just gaps down. Completely random price action. Somewhat frustrating. I actually had calls I held overnight here. I was like, this is perfect setup. Perfect setup. And what does it do? It gaps down. So that's what happens. You're never going to be 100% right. You're never going to be right when this market is so random. Especially these indexes are just random. Like, this movement is random. But again, this kind of shows where supply and demand comes into play. We're probably going to come down here to 523. That gap has been there for a long time. It's daily demand. So I was thinking we were ready to go up to 533, and it looks like it's going to invalidate. We'll see. Tomorrow, maybe it'll gap up, and it'll completely prove me wrong again. Still needs to break 524.77, but we'll see. It might go higher tomorrow, just because like AMD might go higher like this, and then we might get something like, but just know that 523 has a gap. So that if it goes down to 523, I'm buying tons of calls, because then we're going to get a bounce out of there. If it goes to 523 into CPI, you have to buy calls here. There's just no reason to be worried about it. And then Tesla, another one that's just funky. I haven't been trading this because I've noticed how choppy it is. I have my buys already, so I'm just waiting. Based on AMD, I would expect Tesla to come up here and fill this gap tomorrow. And it's kind of making a head and shoulders pattern now. So there's a possibility it comes down here to 167 here soon, after hitting 179. So you can see here, Tesla and AMD have the same charts, what I just said on both of them. So look for a little bit higher tomorrow or into the end of the day, and then look for sell-off. Mara is probably coming down here to 1850. That's a daily demand. JAGX, I played this a little bit today. Made a little bit of money on it. I bought at 383, sold in the 4s. And I actually own a little bit more here, but I'm kind of like hesitant because it might pull back. I have an order at 405 and an order at 383. So the reason I bought down here is because that's daily demand. And sure enough, bounced right out of it. So that was an easy bounce play. It filled the gap too. Not sure what it's going to do from here, but it's just a trade for me, so I don't really care. Lulu is bouncing. I had a question about Palomar Health. I'll go over it briefly. This is my chart from back then, probably a couple months ago. I had it going fifth wave up here to $100. Still looks good. It's above the 20, the 50, and the 200. If it loses this area right here, then you'd probably be in trouble. It's probably come down here to 63 bucks. Right now, it looks good. There's a slight possibility it does this and then goes higher. Like that. 100 bucks is my target, though. Again, I'm not really looking at that many stocks today. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know in the comments if you want me to look at anything else. American Airlines is in weekly demand. I noticed that. But I wouldn't touch it here. I think it might be going lower. Move this out of the way. I think it can go to 10.50 or 11 bucks. It's in weekly demand, though. Another one that is, I guess I can look at NVDA real quick. NVDA is, in my opinion, I think that this is probably finishing up an overall third wave. And I'm looking for a fourth wave pullback. So, and then it's going higher, in my opinion. It's probably going to go much higher into their split. So yeah, here's the count right here. So look for a pullback and then more high move after that. So NVIDIA is not done despite what everybody thinks. I think on the next run, everyone's going to be like, this is just not going down, and then that's when it's going to fall. So like I said, end of June, maybe end of July, you got to be ready for a big, big pullback. Anyway, that's my take on the market for today. Look for a little bit higher, and then look for a big sell-off, I think. I think we might see potentially 1% down on SPY after it comes up a little bit higher. You're going to see potentially a big sell-off on AMD and on Tesla. So get ready for that. I might buy Tesla puts if it hits 179. Right now, I'm just sitting in my sold puts. I have a call. I have some puts already. But today, nothing really happening. So we'll see if I'm right tomorrow. If AMD goes to 168, 169, I'm buying puts on it because I do think it's going to go down to 157. So anyway, that's it for this update. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.